I think that what I'd say to people is get in there and kick it and see what happens. And also to say, like, if you put the book down and shut your eyes and say, what is that book about? Then the first answer, then it's, say for example, the Casual Vacancy, what is that book about? That book's about Crystal. Everybody else is subservient because that book is about the betrayal of Crystal. And so the story becomes that, because that kind of really immediate gut, visceral response to a book, this is about this, is the kind of thing that you hold on to. It's your talisman, if you like, your amulet to kind of guide you through the morass of pulling things about and making them work. Yes, it's dark, but the book is very dark, and maybe I pushed that a little bit, but it's already there. It's cruel, and it was just about really, I think I didn't go in thinking, I've got to make this even darker. I just wrote those characters as I imagined them, and I just wrote the situation as in, how would I feel if I was on an island and people were killing, and I thought it was going to be my turn next? You'd go out of your head. You'd lose your mind. You'd go crazy. I always imagine it because it's very easy to just write people arriving in a room, and there's a kind of blankness about it, and they've all, for me, when they leave the room or leave the space, or when the camera isn't looking at them, I'm always thinking about what they're doing when the camera isn't looking at them, and what they're thinking when the camera isn't looking at them. So when they arrive, they all are part of their own narrative beyond the narrative of the scene that they've just arrived in. And I suppose it comes because I like looking at how individuals, when they come into a room, can change a dynamic. Like, for example, let's just look at, and then there were none, for example, and you know that Philip Lombard, the mercenary, you know he walks on his heels, you know how much of a man he is because he walks on his heels and presents himself pretty much first, if you like, and you know that other people, perhaps, they're sort of like, they're a bit more deferential, they sort of balance themselves a little bit more on the balls of their feet, as though they're always ready to shift themselves out of the way of. And it's just a way of thinking about people and the energy they bring into a room, because it informs how they're going to react, and it kind of tells you something about their internal chemistry and what they're thinking about and how they view their place in the world. Writer's block is terrifying. And it's that awful thing when you know you've got a weekend to write something and it's Sunday evening at 8 o'clock and your blood is thin with terror and you can't swallow and there's nothing on the page. And I think because I spent so much long at EastEnders, where you don't get writer's block. Stuff has got to go on a page, and it's got to go in front of camera. And I think the only thing that you can do is you've got to shut the voice out of your head, which says, what's that word? That's shit. What are you doing that for? You're bollocks. What a load of crap. Because that voice will kill you. And sometimes if that means that you've got to go out for a big walk and you've got to find somewhere really isolated and just have yourself a good old scream and walk till you're exhausted and then just come back. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's nothing to do with what you're supposed to be doing. Write a goddamn scene where something happens. Write a goddamn scene where I don't care if you're in the middle of writing a beautiful love story and you come back after your big walk where you've had writer's block and you write a scene where the ardent, dashing suitor cuts the head off your favourite cat and throws it in your... I don't care. Write a damn scene just to shut the voice up in there, because that is pernicious, that voice, and it really, really gets to you. And everybody gets it. If they say they don't, they're lying. Peter Strawn, who I've been on a panel with, who did the adaptation of Wolf Hall, not because oh Christ, I hope I'm right when I say this, you might have to do a check on this, but he wrote a short film called Nosferatu in Love, which is one of the very, very finest things, and it's really wonderful and really funny and really heartbreaking, and it's magnificent. I love James Ellroy, the American crime writer, because of a book called American Tabloid, which I think is phenomenal. Angela Carter, who is brilliant. They're too numerous. They are too many.